Hello, welcome to this video on Bodhicaryavatara, chapter 7, verse 26. This is version 2, with apologies to those of you who attempted to use the previous version, where something went wrong with the sound. So this version replaces the previous one. The manuscript notes that I'll be making on iPad will also be a different set of notes to go with what I'm saying in this video. The written text, the analysis that I've already done and posted on Google Drive is the same. So let us call the text up for you. Here we go. There it is. Mark it for you. Yada shakesh viva pradnya swamanse pyupajayate mansasti tyajatas tasya tada kinnama dushkaram. And again, yada shakesh viva pradnya swamanse pyupajayate mansasti tyajatas tasya tada kinnama dushkaram. Yada, when, pradnya, that's what many of you will know that in Pali as panya in Pali, wisdom. Here it just means the knowledge accompanied by wisdom, when your understanding is great enough to be able to see something, then that's the pradnya. So yada pradnya upajayate, when the understanding or the wisdom arises, is upajayate, literally arises, is upa, up, jayate, born. Let me just give you the iPad. It's from the root, root jan, to be born. It's a class 4 atmanepada verb. So you would normally, it's jayate, you would normally, putting an asterisk here to show that I'm giving you a deliberately wrong form by way of illustration. If it were a regular class 4 atmanepada, it would be jan, and then the inserted y, which is the characteristic of the 4th class. It would be janyate. But what happens, and it's a bit irregular, what happens is that the n drops out and the a is lengthened. And that is why it is jayate. Not to be confused with jayate with a short a, which means to be victorious, which is from the root ji, with a short e, and that's where you make the meaning to conquer, to be victorious. Verbal noun makes jaya, victory. Victory to India. In modern Hindi said jay, pronounced jay, not jaya but jay, jai hind. And the motto of the Republic of India, the JOC makes, it's a class 1 atmanepada, so jayate. So jayate is born, jayate is victorious. And the motto of India, Satyam Satyameva jayate. The truth alone will conquer, or it is the truth that will conquer. This is a good illustration, by the way, so I'll deal with it here, of the use of this word eva. Sometimes it has the meaning of alone, that alone. It often has the idea that you're singling one thing out from among others. So if you just say Satyam Jayate, the truth will conquer, the truth will be victorious. Put in the present tense here, we'd probably use in the future. It's just the way we put it in English. The truth conquers, the truth will conquer. So Satyam Jayate. But if you put Satyameva Jayate, the force of the eva there will mean it is the truth as opposed to anything else, like force, violence, threats, lies, all of these things that might be victorious. No, Satyameva Jayate, it is the truth, or the truth alone will conquer. So out of the various contenders, that is the one you were making the statement about, Satyameva Jayate. So back to our text, and Jayate is born, Upajayate arises. It's pretty much the same meaning. Upajayate, often translated as arises, and frequently used Jayate more in a physical sense, and Upajayate more in a metaphorical sense of Jayate, to be born, physical sense. Upajayate, arises, comes into being. So here we've got the prajna upajayate, the wisdom, that understanding arises. So the wisdom, prajna upajayate, the wisdom arises in respect of what does this wisdom arise? It's swamase. So the locative is used here, meaning that the wisdom concerning something, the wisdom in respect of. So this understanding. So yada prajna upajayate swamase, when the wisdom, the understanding, arises in respect of one's own flesh, swamase api upajayate. Now the api, even, when the wisdom or understanding arises even in respect of one's own flesh, that it is, as that understanding exists as for vegetables, that same understanding exists in respect of one's own flesh. Shakesh viva. So, as in vegetables. So, when that prajna, when that understanding, shakesh viva, as if with vegetables. So when that one's understanding arises in respect of one's own flesh, in the same way that it exists in respect of vegetables. What this now means is when you get this understanding that your own flesh, you think about your own flesh, yeah, you think about vegetables, yeah, when it's all the same, when you make the importance you attach to your own physical life and the importance you attach to a bag of potatoes, when you attach no more importance to your life than to the bag of potatoes, that is the goal to be aimed for. So shakeshu, that's the locative plural. So just as we have the prajna, the wisdom, the understanding, swamase, locative, in respect of one's own flesh, upajayate, it arises, shakeshviva, as if with vegetables. So your understanding now about your own flesh is iva, meaning here the same as it is for vegetable. When you reach the point that your own approach and understanding of your flesh is the iva, is just like, the same as, equivalent to the way you treat vegetables. So the prajna here, the understanding, also the way you look at things. So yada shakeshviva prajna swamase pi. So that's swamase pi upajayate. The api, swamase api upajayate, by Santi swamase pyupajayate. So when wisdom arises, or when understanding arises, api, even in respect of one's own flesh, regarding it the same as, or in the same way as with regard to vegetables, shakeshu iva. By the way, I'll mention here, we looked at eva, and we're now looking at iva. Remember, these are two entirely different words. Eva is, as I described here, satyam eva jayate, and so on. But iva means like, similar to. Iva is always used for a comparison, often a metaphorical comparison. So, shakeshviva, as if, in respect of the vegetables. I haven't got the text up in front of you. Here we go. Masasti chijjatas tasya tada kinnama dushkaram. So, masasti here is just, it's a dvandva compound. It's A and B. Masa, flesh. Asti, neuter noun, bone. Masasti, flesh bone, meaning flesh and bone. It's a dvandva. That compound means you just put two nouns together, leaving the and out, just making a single noun out of them. So masasti, flesh and bone. Have I done a note on this? No, I didn't. Never mind. Anyway, it's a dvandva compound. Dvandva literally means a pair in Sanskrit, meaning just by putting things together, just putting two nouns together, omitting the and. So masasti tyajyatas. Tyajyatas is the past participle. You've got root tyaj. Call up. Root tyaj. It's a class 1 parasmaipada, so it is tyajati. Present participle, the stem, tyajant, tyajat or tyajant. So the masculine form would be, the masculine singular nominative is tyajan, accusative tyajantam, genitive, accusative singular has got the n in it, and for the rest of the declension the n drops out. So the genitive, for example, is tyajata, and the instrumental tyajata, and so on. So of one who abandons, of the abandoning, of the person abandoning, tyajataha. And that is why we have in our text here, by sandhi, the visarga aha followed by a ta, then the visarga becomes an s by regular sandhi. Tyajatas, of one abandoning. So of him who abandons, mansasti, flesh and bone, or him who renounces his own flesh and bone, tasya tada kinnama dushkaram, of him, then, what indeed difficulty? Dushkaram, dushkara, this dush, it's the same as duh, as in dukkha, and so on. Sorry, oops. Anyway, dukkha. This duh, remember, the general idea of badness, wrongness. It can mean bad and nasty. It can also mean difficult. For example, labha, obtaining, getting. If something is durlabha, that means it's difficult, rare, difficult to obtain. Dushkara, kara from the root krit, to do. If something is dushkara, it just means it's difficult to do. By the way, it's exactly cognate with the Greek dyskolos, in modern Greek dyskolos, meaning difficult. And of course, we have the same prefix now in English. Dysphoria, dyslexia, and so on. This dys meaning something's wrong or difficult about it. So this dis is the same root as our dush or duh, as in duhka. So dushkaram, kim nama dushkaram, what is difficult? So kim nama difficult, so it could either mean what is the difficulty, or kim can also mean why. So why should it be difficult? Kim nama dushkaram. Nama is a noun meaning, normal meaning is just a name. In fact, our word name, Sanskrit nama, nama rupa, literally name and form. Nama, however, is often inserted as a kind of emphatic particle without any form of declension. It's a neuter noun, but here just used as an indeclinable particle. Kim nama, what then? What difficulty then could there be? Very much, those of you who know German, the use of the word nämlich, literally namely, in German. But nämlich is often used in German not to mean namely, but just as this emphatic particle, like a modal particle. What difficulty is there then, in that case, in giving away one's flesh and bones? In English, dushkaram tyajatas, difficult for the person who is abandoning, or the difficulty for the person abandoning. In English, we talk about something being difficult for somebody to do. That's just the way we express it idiomatically in English. In Sanskrit, and it's the same in Pali, we use the genitive there. It's difficult of him to do it. It has exactly that same meaning. It's just idiomatically the genitive is used. So that's why we have tyajatas rather than the dative tyajate, which would be a literal translation of for one who abandons. So, mamasi tyajatas tasya tada. Tada correlates with yada. When that wisdom arises, then tada kim nama dushkaram, how could it then be difficult for him, tasya mansasti tyajatas, abandoning his flesh and bone. So once this wisdom arises that your own flesh is no more important than a bag of vegetables, how then could it be difficult for you? How could it be difficult for the person abandoning tyajatastasya, for that person abandoning mansasti, his flesh and bone? This tasya, does it go with tyajatas, mansasti tyajatas tasya, of that person who's abandoning, or is it mansasti tyajatas, of the person abandoning? Tasya tada, for him, then what difficulty is there? It actually could be either. The sentence itself doesn't tell us which it is. It doesn't really change the meaning either. The first way, mansasti tyajatas, of the person abandoning, tasya tadakin namadushkram, for him, then what difficulty is there? Or what difficulty is there for that person who is abandoning. It could be either. As I say, it doesn't actually affect the meaning at all. So I will read this through once more. Yada shakeshviva pradnya swamase pyupajayate masasti tyajatas tasya tada kinnama dushkaram. And once more. So did I just forget to show you my iPad while I was telling you about dushkara? Sorry, I might have forgotten. That's tijata. Anyway, hopefully you've got the separate text if I did forget to show it to you. Back to where we were again. Yada shakeshviva pradnya swamase pyupajayate masasti tyajatas tasya tada kinnama dushkaram. And that concludes verse 26.